Welcome again to Down the Donut Hole podcast. And today we're in the studio again.
Yeah,
After the day with a lot of noise outside, like they're constructing a skyscraper or something next door.
and honking horns and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I did think it was the paparazzi. I thought, wow, it didn't take very long for people to discover all the wonderful things about Down the Donut Hole podcast.
Aren't you glad I don't drive up in the van honking the horn anymore?
No, but I can often hear your music,
Yeah,
which is rather loud.
Wow.
How's your hearing these days?
Yeah, where were you this morning, by the way? Where we waited, and you had an extra long route or something?
You could say that, sure. Then we'll make that the official excuse, sure.
Why not?
We were talking about playlists and stuff.
Yeah, you were saying that you have a new playlist for your van, and I thought maybe we'd talk about music a little bit, music biz, and how it is now versus how it was, and
You know what? I think that's really a great thing to do if you want to talk about the music biz. Talk about people that are in a vehicle listening to music and focused on the music a lot of the time. It's like if you want to know the state of the nation, ask a bus driver or a cab driver because they hear a cross-section of people's opinions.
There was a guy that reminds me that was basically a cabbie in New York City, but he had, he was really a really good talker and very intelligent and all that. And he actually made himself available for morning radio hosts to call him up in the cab and discuss various issues or whatever.
That's fun. Should I go get my van?
Hey, that's not a bad idea.
I could call in.
Hey,
yeah.
Why don't we go?
We should do
sit
that
in the
sometime.
van. We'll mic up in the van.
You mentioned.
How cool would that be?
You just mentioned being in a vehicle, and I was thinking, is she referring to that great group, the Ides of March?
I remember them. Yeah.
I'm your vehicle, baby. I'll take you anywhere you want to go.
I thought they were singing in a van.
Gosh, you're
By
almost...
now, you surely know that I want you, need you, got to have you.
You're almost as old as we are, it sounds like.
No, he's got a ways to go. But I think you like all genres of music. Am I right?
Yeah, and that was one of my karaoke go-tos was the Ides of March. And it's you know what I find is I used to spend in LA. I used to spend tons of money on the jukebox at the pub. So
the same pub or various
yes.
pubs?
Well,
was it like a Cheers kind of thing where everybody knew your name?
Yes, they did, and the owner had a seat for me.
Really?
So that's either they liked me or that I'm a
They didn't want you to get too close to the rest of the clientele.
They wanted to isolate him.
No, but the owner of the place would actually, when I came in, he would make people physically leave that seat for me.
Isn't that nice?
And then I would drink the weakest of drinks, like a light beer.
Water.
And I'd dump water in it. So, so I could stay there longer. And it was within walking distance of where I lived. So, but I would spend more money probably on the jukebox than I did drinking.
So essentially you were paying to be a DJ.
Kind of, yeah. And when I think about it, it's kind of stupid. But
but you had fun.
But that pub was where I played the jukebox, spent the money in the jukebox. But then there were other places I went for karaoke, and there is a karaoke kind of you end up forming like a karaoke circle of people that always go to the same place and support each other. Some really cool stuff with some songs that like I would. Because I'm a buzzard now, I would go and find songs that I remember and that probably people have forgotten, and then it would really spark them to hear those old songs and be like, so something about music, how the term earworm and stuff. Not talking about like a thing that would eat your brain or something.
Not a Star Trek thing.
Right, no. But
or a political thing.
Or not a political.
Political worms, they are not
exactly
an asset.
That's what I was thinking of, though, when I said that. But it's where there's a tune that's stuck in your head. Well, I think it's deeper than that, because I think your brain has great storage capacity. I think we all agree on that. And so that it has probably, I'll give you an example. There's an old song that I had in my head for years, a lot of years, decades, right?
Well, how many was that? I didn't hear. It wasn't clear.
Sorry, I must be choking on a...
Okay, we'll move on.
On a feeling.
I get it.
But I couldn't remember where I heard it. It was just in my head, and I could sing the tune. I didn't know the words, but I knew the tune. Something, and then you got me running, and I finally after decades, found that song. And so I looked at when that song came out and how old I must have been. And I was like 6 years old. So I was like, I heard that maybe once on the radio riding around with my folks. And
you remember.
it was in there. It had been in there all that time. So I
How
guess my
did you
point,
search for it? One line?
trying to remember what words I could from it. And I was close, but not right on, but you know. And I think you'll probably find that the music kind of is stored, lots of storage for music in your brain.
Well, the studies now, like for mindfulness and that sort of thing, if you can quiet your mind for a little while, you develop much more neuroplasticity. And they're saying along the same lines as music, especially classical music, that your brain is creating pathways, which is enriching it, making it stronger, making it more agile and versatile. And it's very, very positive for health.
It is, and this is sort of a sad aspect of that whole principle, is that unfortunate people who have dementia, and progressively worse and worse and worse, and almost without exception, they find that they keep songs the longest before it gets even worse, sadly. They don't have it to the point where they don't have any speech really, but they can still sing some songs that they remember or hum a melody or something for very much longer than the speech holds out.
The soundtrack of our lives.
Exactly. Yeah.
Stays with us the longest. That's kind of interesting.
Is there a difference in what you're saying, like with your visual memory versus your memory of like music and
Audible
sounds?
memory?
Yeah, thank you. See, I don't have a very good word memory. I gotta go kiss the Blarney Stone.
Oh, I think
figure
you
out.
do.
Yeah.
Does that not work that way? I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's true. Because there's more. Well, for one thing, maybe you're referring to the idea that audible sounds are non-directional, that the 360-degree space, but our vision is very narrow. Very much in front of you.
And it would depend on your color
Your area of
interpretation
vision
too.
that is in sharp focus is even smaller yet. You see some of these things on the internet sometimes about how they've tested things like that, and there'll be something that they're clearly trying to get them to focus on straight ahead of where your sharp vision is, and often the periphery they'll have somebody in a monkey suit jumping up and down. People don't remember that.
They don't remember the monkey
No.
suit. And is it because they're ultra focused on keeping their eyes on something?
It's in their non-focused visual field. So anyway, all that to say that sounds and obviously music is one of the things that connects your brain. It synchronizes your brain. Is something that is not directional. Comes all the way around you, and you have a sense of that deep space. And I think that has something to do with the fact that you do keep that in your memory longer. And it becomes sort of a visceral thing after time.
So sound is immersive in a way that just sight isn't.
Exactly. They've played tricks with having 3D movies and things like that, but it's absolute trickery for your brain to show depth and all that sort of thing. But if you want to really experience the full three-dimensional world, then your ears are the only sense that you have to experience that.
And it's the last to go, they say. That
What?
when you are dying, your hearing remains longer than your vision or any of the other five senses.
Including fingernails?
No, I don't mean what happens when you're in the box.
You know,
or-
that great sense of fingernails?
No, just that during the process of expiring, that your hearing lasts longer is what I've read. I don't know if they still think that's
Okay,
what they always did.
let me pretend I'm ignorant.
Okay.
Do your best.
I'll try. So is 3D audio a real thing? Is that a thing?
Yeah, it is. For the reasons I just gave, because your ears are non-directional, and that you have that sense of where things are in the real 3D space that you live in. You
I
have
mean,
a sense for where they're located, even if you're not, your head isn't turned in that direction.
I guess what I mean is that, like in the natural world, I think I understand that. But like as far as like a recording of a sound, can it be 3D?
It can. Yeah, there you can trick. Well, there's tricks for your brain for that too, to make it seem it's sort of a virtual space. But you have to do less trickery for a sound than you do for a visual.
Is that why if you hear something coming up behind you, you're more apt to jump?
No, I guess,
Exactly.
I guess that's true. I've heard like kind of radio shows and different things where you'll hear like they do all the Foley stuff like in the old time, the 40s and stuff that when radio was king and it was all the
Except that was before stereo was invented, so it was all mono.
Is that when they'd like shake a piece of tin and make it sound like rumbling thunder?
Yeah, cool. You didn't have the ability to push a button on a digital file on me.
And have
They had to
sound.
actually perform it just like the voice actors.
But I suppose they can do stuff where you'll hear somebody come in a door. Well, now I guess with stereo they could have you the
Right.
door open in your left ear and somebody
That's
can
right.
walk to your right ear.
That's because we are stereo because we have two ears. So essentially we have two microphones. So that's how that works.
And don't forget about the fingernails. They grow after.
Anyway,
you die.
back to
Not
when you-
mine. Mine are broke. I don't think it'll be any better on the other side. Is it true that they're using sound more and more for healing?
Yeah, there's a lot of hard science on that now. Certain frequencies are magic, and they usually have something to do with your brainwave frequencies. And there are certain frequencies that they have discovered that within your brain are synchronizing. Some people who have trouble, whether it be depression or other more serious things, they find that sometimes there's a disconnect where there's jobs for certain different areas of your brain. And then you have the problem of synchronizing all those different areas together to make it work like it should, basically. And those are on specific frequencies. And one of them I can say right now is 40 hertz, and it's well within the range of human hearing. But that's the frequency that's happening within your brain as the communications network to connect all the different parts of your brain together. And some people have various, mental health issues they find that if they resynchronize that along that frequency line, that it helps them actually pull these various pipes of information that are coming together when you're actually getting exposed to this 40 hertz frequency. So and there's
That's
a lot.
purring.
It's
Isn't
really
that-
interesting.
Isn't that the frequency at which cats purr? Not to
Only
bring
one.
this
There's
subject.
only one cat.
What? What one?
The
Not
cheetah.
Okay, not Kelly.
Yeah,
The
no other cat. In fact, there's in the cat kingdom, they don't do both. You have purrs and you have roarers. No, there's no cat that does both of those things. But the ones who roar, like a lion, do not purr, and the ones who purr do not roar.
So even if you went up to a lion and rubbed its belly and tickled its chin, it wouldn't purr at you.
I want to
It
see
would eat
that.
you.
Let me know
Oh.
when you're planning on doing that.
It
We'll
would-
do this experiment.
It would eat you.
And I believe you would
frankly.
do that because you're the guy that shot the really great bee video for us. So you probably would try to tickle
the
a
bees.
lion.
Chased around the yard like a punk.
The bees do not purr or roar. But there are a lot of other animals who do purr. By the way.
What about a buzz? Is that 40 hertz?
That's a
No,
bee.
no, that's not.
No, I mean
That's not a cat,
the
it's a
bees
bee.
buzzing. I
But
mean, that
cats-
wouldn't necessarily be healing, or
House
is it?
cats don't get anywhere near 40 hertz, but it's still the rhythm is if people find relaxing anyway. But
Oh, for a
a
cat.
cheetah will is a purr, obviously, so they don't roar, but they do. Depending on the size of the animal, of course, because it's resonant in the lungs just like ours. But they will reach that low frequency level.
So cheetahs don't roar; they purr.
Correct. Yeah.
Lions
There's
purr.
something about
Lions
the,
don't
the,
purr; they roar.
the structure of the bones in their throat, isn't it? That separates the roarers from the purrers.
I would expect. I don't know that much about that, but it really is fascinating. And oddly, If I'm not wrong, I think the cheetahs are naturally the most friendly to human beings, and apparently there's, as far as I know, I saw it was written somewhere, but it might have been long enough to go that could have changed by now. But there's no actual recorded incident of a human being being harmed by a cheetah, even in the wild. And you see way back in Egyptian times, you see a lot of the petroglyphs that'll show, petroglyphs is not the right word, but hieroglyphs that show cheetahs right alongside as a pet, just like a house cat. So they have not harmed it. There's a video somewhere, probably on YouTube somewhere, in Africa, and they have these tours, for the tourists, open jeeps kind of thing.
Oh yeah, you're right.
You
just go through the safari.
Yeah, you just drive around. Anyway, there's one really wild one where a cheetah came up, jumped in. There was an empty seat. Jumped in there, and people were like freaking out. Oh no, we're dead. He just the cheetah took a seat beside one of the tourists or something, and it's sitting there just looking around.
Had it been a rescue that was released back into the wild?
Maybe, I don't know.
Probably was.
But at that point, it was in the wild. And it's just sitting there looking around. So basically, as it turned out, I guess the cat saw some potential game off in the distance, and then after a while, it was a few miles, jumped back out. So it was like hitching a lift. Basically, it was like, hey, I'll just sit up here for a while and just have a look around.
That helps prove my theory how lazy cheetahs are.
And
has that been something you're worried
also
about?
Working on it.
The fastest land animal. There's no other creature.
But for a short duration.
Very short.
Well, you know why? Because they hitch rides everywhere. I didn't
think about it that way.
I'd like a cheetah to ride with me.
Anyway,
they are so beautiful.
The music biz to cheetahs. That's great. But I'm not. There's a talk show host who does this survey. And one of the questions that they ask everybody the same set of questions is dogs or cats, and literally there's never been anybody that said cats. But anyway, maybe there was one, but almost everybody says dogs. But that to say that I'm kind of a little bit in that category, but I'm at the same time I'm a big fan of cheetahs for all those reasons. They're very interesting animals. But
so when they're talking dogs or cats, they're meaning
house cats.
Domestic, yeah.
Yeah, and cheetahs don't have the snake eyes like domestic cats. Right?
That's right. Yeah, the best cat's the only one that has a snake eye in the cat kingdom.
Yeah, can you say that again so everybody, in case they missed that? I don't think people knew that until you told me that one day.
Well, no, I think you were the one that actually brought up something about how they have snake eyes and they also hiss like a snake. So I don't know.
And that's the only other.
And the
that's
cat.
the only cat that does that looks like that and does that, right?
As far as I know, yeah, absolutely. Anyway, back to your DJing. How much did you choose your playlist for your audience versus what you like?
It was interesting. It might be an OCD thing or whatever. Some issues I have, but I enjoy it. You've done some DJing and stuff, probably, right?
No, not really as a DJ,
No,
like a live
just-
DJ on the radio, though.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So I would go in and I'd put the money in, and then I'd read normally what would happen is I would read the room and see who we have. If it's like the age group. I mean, because it was also a restaurant, it wasn't just a bar, so. And see what kind of crowd you have and everything. And there were people that I knew as regulars, and I kind of got what they liked and stuff. But so it was partly reading the room, and also I was I have just songs pop in my head, like I kind of said earlier. But some songs will just pop in my head that are random, and I'll hum the tune and I'll try to figure it out. And I won't know. I'll have to take me a second, but kind of the playlist kind of forms organically in my head first.
That's neat.
Oh, I want to play this song, and then it's like, oh, I haven't heard this song in a while. Play this, and then I might go around and ask people if they have any requests too. so they feel like they don't have to get up and do stuff and everything.
That's kind of fun
Yeah.
to let the crowd in a restaurant or a bar.
Yeah, so I
help
could still
decide
have
what the
complete
playlist is
control
gonna-
over the music, but it was also fun to do for me to do that, and also like I knew the bartenders really well, and so depending on who was working, I knew what to play for them, and I would also ask them because I figured that would really something that would really brighten their day up to hear. You know what? Because they're kind of like almost. It sounds kind of dramatic to say, but they're kind of held hostage there behind the bar normally.
Yeah,
So-
if you
and-
get a bad night or a
Yeah.
crabby crowd or
And whatever-
something, you are not going anywhere. You're going to
So I could-
endure.
Yeah, and I could play like whatever music, and they have to hear it. They don't have a choice. They have to listen to whatever's on there, right? So it wouldn't hurt once in a while to say, "Hey, what song would you like to hear?" It's like, "What? Oh, okay, I like to hear that."
I think it's good if a restaurant does have somebody in charge of a playlist, because you might get people that are feeling down and have decided, maybe without really having a conscious thought about doing it, they're going to decide to go with that downer feeling, and they're playing these sad songs.
Well, I
And-
gotta tell you, I did get in trouble from one of the women working the bar, where I played like an old Sinatra song, like wee small hours of the morning. She's like, "You can't play stuff like that now." everyone's gonna be horribly depressed here. I'm like, yeah, it's a good point. Let's liven it up.
keep
So,
it live.
I also would do stuff where I did theme stuff, where it's like I'm gonna play nothing but Moon's songs with. I did a playlist like
That's
that
for us.
you guys.
Yeah, I
And
appreciate
so,
that.
so it'd be like Moon stuff, and then it's like or Rain. These also, and see if anybody caught that. All those songs were about rain or had the word rain in them or something. And then I think one time I did a thing where I'd play like 4 songs from the 70s, 4 songs from the 60s, like in a group that were indicative of those decades. And then I went 80s, 90s, 2000s, whatever. And then I even went back to the 40s. I played some Glenn Miller and Frank Sinatra and stuff, not the wee small hours, but some lively stuff. And people, there are some songs that people would might say, "Well, what's this?" Oh, an old, and then it would take them over. They would just, if you play the right song, people kind of give themselves up to. There's something about the sounds and the music.
Well,
and,
it unifies the room, doesn't it?
I
mean,
think-
you have people from all walks of life have happened into this pub, and with the music,
music is nuts. It doesn't make sense that we can put all of these. We're so used to seeing bands perform together, but there was some the group America. I think I saw an old a promotional video of them in the studio doing something, and they're smoking and they're drinking and they're talking and you blah 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 blah. They're like, "You ready?" Yeah, and then you hear them tuning up their instruments, and then all of a sudden the song is born from them just just nonsensically chit chatting,
yeah, for 1 minute there, it's
we
just
take it for
another
granted.
day, and then the song is woven.
But the idea of the pop song is strange too. Like it's like a 3 or 4 minute thing. Progressive music, progressive rock is kind of like a modern day. It's modern day symphonic.
Yeah,
Like classical
absolutely.
music. It's like the modern version of that, and
More complex.
and inspired by, and also but it's interesting how all of that works, how people can write even the silliest of pop songs, if you stop and think about it, how bizarre a concept that kind of is.
A little bubblegum.
Were you able to, every once in a while, interject something more esoteric? Because I know that your musical taste is wide. And how did that go over? You were trying to slip in something that was like more progressive, for instance, as an example.
Are they longer too? Is progressive music
yeah.
a lot longer? Usually, my
general,
sense
yeah.
is that it's longer than pop music, and I'm wondering if people have the stamina for a longer song.
That's the trick. If it's something, and it also applies to karaoke, honestly. If it's something they know, they'll accept it. If it's something new to them, or it's like, they might they might reject it. But if you like some classic like the Yes song, Roundabout.
Or Kansas Carry On.
Yes, those songs, people know those songs.
Well, the new generation knows those songs because of that Guitar Hero game that came out a little
And
while
that's
ago,
true.
and they
Yeah.
learn
Yeah.
those.
That was an influence for sure.
Yeah.
and they're used in movies and stuff, and so people still know those. And it's like songs. Who do we have really? I don't sound like like here comes the buzzard again. It's hard to imagine songs from today still being used in movies and TV shows and in games and stuff like 20, 30, 40 years from now. So
What about on the subject of how popular the pop music is, and kind of some of this is my opinion, but kind of the same kind of sound, and versus, and it seems like most people, on a whole, listen to more of that.
And
What's
country.
being fed, kind of what's being fed to them on the radio, for instance, and might tend to keep them from becoming a more adventurous with the kind of music they might want to search for. I don't know if I'm explaining this well
No,
enough,
I think
but
so. And I don't think that in school, I don't think that there's samplers of music. I think what's commercial in the moment, especially like high school students and that sort of thing, what's commercial in the moment is what they listen to. And certainly since cell phones and that and, digital music, they have at their fingertips all different kinds of music. But do they really seek out the experience of a new genre? Probably not, unless one of their friends happens into something and finds it interesting and cool and wants to share it. And that might be a way to be introduced to songs. But I think the old days of radio, that especially during the 70s, that must have been really cool to work in radio, to be a DJ then. And I'm wondering if is there an experience now where a person can call up a radio station and share it with a broad audience?
they're all robots now. So sad.
How long has that been true?
Oh gosh, it's a decade or more now. But what do you think, Des, about the idea that maybe some of the younger ones who listen to very similar kinds of music but they might within their soul or something would be interested in checking out other stuff, but because of peer pressure, they wouldn't dare mention that they don't like the most popular pop song.
well, I can speak from my own experience. Like in high school, I there was a lot of peer pressure to listen to what was hot and popular at the time, but I just always listened to the stuff that I liked, and and so I got crap for it. So it's like, that's from the 70s or the 60s or whatever. Yeah, but it's still good music, though. I mean, good music is good music, and I think the problem, a lot of it today, is the attention spans when technology has sped everything up, where people are wired to ingest more and more ideas and visuals, and that's why I like this podcast, because it's you have those moments of peace, like just now where I was trying to think of something to say.
You can take a second and draw a breath and you
I thought
Yeah.
maybe you were
be
about to cry.
relaxed. I
But-
like that.
But it is, and it kind of ties into what you're saying about how sound is meditative. Sound can be healing and everything, but so can silence. And so used
But
correctly,
do people tolerate silence? I mean, is silence now scary because you're just bombarded all
You know
the
what's-
time by sound?
that is a good point. It made me just think of something, and it seems like now we define silence as if someone doesn't text us back. It's not about sound anymore. It's about whether we get a text from somebody or not.
They've gone.
They've gone silent.
They've ghosted you.
They've
They've
ghosted
gone
you. They've gone
silent.
silent. So it's like we've even given that up. But it's like it's what was the question? What was the
Well,
question? Oh my God.
Certainly the attention span. I know
Tell me
one
about
of
it.
one of my sons was sharing a song, a prog song, with his friends. There are a lot of those guys are gamers, and so they're constant. Their brain is constantly being stimulated, and they wanted him to cut off the song, a really well known, very popular, excellent piece of music. They wanted him to cut it off in less time. No, in other words, don't finish playing the song because it's too long.
And in the Prague world, it was actually kind of short. I think it was like 6 minutes or something. And they're thinking, oh my God, 6 minutes. It's like an hour or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6 minutes of nothing. And I'm just going to correlate that a little bit with TV. One of my problems right now with broadcast television, except in, there's a few circumstances that don't hold to this rule, but it's really hard to stay focused on the plot of a story if every 3 or 4 minutes the plot is being interrupted with some sort of a commercial message, and sometimes it's a minute. Even 30 seconds is too much for a lot of people, especially if attention spans are a problem. And I know teachers that say that it's really hard to teach now because it's hard to keep the attention of the kids.
Sound is so effective and it's so influential on your emotion and your energy that the sound of silence is equally effective. It's like if you watch a movie, and modern movies will bombard you, like you kind of said, with music, because it's like, this is how we want you to feel. But I think it was Citizen Kane, where they other movies obviously, but Citizen Kane, where they would just not have any music at all, and it makes you uncomfortable if someone's arguing about something and they do not have music there. It makes you uncomfortable because you need sometimes that music as like a kind of a emotional blanket for you, or you need something.
Wasn't Citizen Kane? Wasn't there some trick in that to wake the audience back up during a particularly long kind of?
Yeah, they had I think it was a cockatoo. Orson Welles edited a cockatoo go.
And the cockatoo wasn't part of the story.
No, he just put it in there and had it scream because he thought at this point in the movie, people might be dozing off.
Especially in a dark theater.
Yeah.
Because most of the movie watching back then would be in a dark theater.
Yeah.
And that is an issue. Get the lights turned off, and people these days they don't sleep properly, and so that in a dark room you're very apt to fall asleep. Even more than that, I would think.
I think perhaps one of the only artists one of the main artists right now that I think I could see still being hearing her stuff used again would be Lady Gaga.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she started out as you're thinking, oh, she's just, but there was a philosopher, I think his name was Sting, and he was with a group called the Police, and he said that you can tell the strength of a song by stripping it down to one or two instruments. And I think her stuff can pass that test. But a lot of like heavily produced stuff and that won't work. You can test a song that way. Mm-hmm. And something else that I thought about, we were kind of saying how like progressive rock is kind of the child of classical music.
Yes.
Well, I think modern musicals are the offspring of prog rock. The one that comes to mind the most is Phantom of the Opera. If you listen to that main theme is very prog.
It is. And then an earlier example is Jesus Christ Superstar. And you remember who the vocalist was for that play?
Who was it?
Ian Gillan from Deep Purple.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that's a good example from what you were just saying.
And that reminds me, too, of something along the lines of the playlists and things like that, where people, when you say Deep Purple, you think of Smoke on the Water, but there's, other songs by them that I always find, like, those songs will pop in my head, and I'll say, oh, I'll play that. And people Kansas is a really good example because now people know Carry On. They know
yeah.
that song, but their signature song, this not their signature song, but the popular song was Dust in the Wind.
Right.
But people, I think, are surprised at how many of their other songs they know.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Point of No Return, Play the Game.
And why are they still not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
If there's
Because they're from
protest
Kansas,
to be
I guess. I
had,
don't know.
if there's protest to be had, that should be.
We need to pick it.
Yeah.
Aren't there
Forget
aren't
all
there
this
other
political stuff.
music Hall of Fames? Like Dolly Parton, I'm impressed with her because she didn't want to be put in.
Oh,
the
she
Rock
turned
and
it
Roll Hall
down
of Fame.
originally, yeah.
Yeah, but
Then finally she said, oh, well, okay, but if I do this, I'm going to make a rock album, which I think she did, but
yeah.
But we haven't
I
been
don't
paying.
know.
We haven't been paying good enough
No.
attention to that. Dolly has her hands full, and I just, from us, for what it's worth, Dolly, we love
Wait,
you.
what'd you say?
Dolly's husband passed away.
No, before that. That's sad, but you said she has her hands full?
She has her hands full right now with the loss of her long term. They
Oh,
were
gotcha,
married
okay,
like 65 years, and that's like part of yourself.
Yeah.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
I just,
Yeah, she's
I
great.
feel for her. When that woman takes the stage, you know you're going to hear fun music, but you also know that there's really a lot of heart
And a
with all of that.
story. That's like a lot of
Yeah.
folk music was a
Yes.
way to tell stories about social
Yes.
injustice or history or whatever. Music in general, but like folk music, that was the
There's so many ways to tell stories, so many ways to communicate what's important to
Yeah.
you as an individual human being and to humanity in general. So I consider ourselves very lucky that we lived in the time we lived. And I mean, you too does. I mean, being able to hear that, the rise of rock music and just the transformation in music from that time to now has been quite startling, with all the digital influence and all of that.
What's your favorite decade of music?
Mine?
And it's not really fair to say like, oh, the 50s or whatever. Well, that's not fair for me, but it seems like usually a new style of music takes hold like midway through that decade.
Yeah, about a
Does that seem
decade
right?
long, yeah.
Yeah.
So what kind of
I'm a big
era? I
I'm
guess?
a big Gary Moore fan, and I kind of like
So you're
his blues-
70s.
70s.
Yeah.
I
And
like-
that doesn't.
I don't
and
think
see-
you're going to beat that, really.
And see that here's the thing that does not age you, doesn't date your age,
No.
because somebody
It's a taste.
Somebody was saying I got a lot of people into Frank Sinatra and some of those like Ella Fitzgerald, who I love, and it's like I wasn't born when they were popular.
No.
Meaning when they were on the radio.
Right.
So it's like music should be timeless.
Oh, hey, speaking of that, you were talking about maybe putting together an April Fool's playlist.
Yes.
And I suggested If I'm a Fool for Loving You.
Yeah.
That is Elvis Presley.
I saw that. That was just called Fool. Or is
Yeah.
that-
Yeah. And Nat King Cole had another
Is
song.
that a line in the song? Because I
Yeah,
don't.
If I'm a Fool for Loving You.
Yeah.
I thought there was.
I don't remember. For some reason in my head, that is not connected with Elvis Presley. But
I will have to-
I
I'll
was
try-
wrong thinking it was
I'll try to find
Nat
that.
King Cole.
And if it's here's the thing, it's like I try to limit the playlist to 25 songs, and that seems like a comfortable listen, right? It's like a double album.
Well,
or so.
that's an evening.
Yeah.
Because if you're having a nice dinner to celebrate some event, like April Fool's Day, people don't do dinners, but it's kind of a fun thing to do a dinner for that, or have your
Unless
friends
you want
over.
to focus on progressive rock, then it'll be a couple days.
Yeah, it's true.
No, but again,
But
people won't.
it's like with the jukebox. It's like with the jukebox. It's like I'm going to play one song. I'm just going to play one song, and I would play Genesis "Supper's Ready," which is like 26 minutes long. Now that's value for money.
yeah, that is value for money.
Or Echoes by Pink Floyd.
Yeah, I'm only playing 3 songs, and they're all like 20-minute prog songs. It's like, well, we got to close the bar.
That's it. I think it makes a difference. We've had, I remember the time that we did like one of the cabanas. It was a town garage sale. And Dave hooked up music at our tent. And we had all the usual junk out
Swing.
there
I was
to
playing
sell.
some swing, a mix
Some
of
swing and that
electro
sort of
swing
thing.
and classic.
And everybody was
Forward swing.
gravitating to
Yeah.
our tent. And people didn't
They were
understand why,
kind
but
of like
you
hanging
knew.
out.
And that
we
was
were hanging out there.
yeah, hanging out by our tent, and we wound up selling a lot of ridiculous stuff that shouldn't have sold. That was just kind of who cares kind of things. But because it seemed fun to hang out there, people were standing around talking, and it was just a kind of a trick, really.
Do I have time to tell you a quick little story?
Yes, you do. You have 5 minutes, not even.
Okay.
Get started. I'll be quiet.
So when I was 6, it all started when I was in my neighborhood in California. I remember going for a walk with my girlfriend, and we were just walking the neighborhood. And,
Not when you were 6.
No, not when I was 6. I was a little older. And then in the distance, we heard some music, and so we were just walking, and it was just some family playing music in their garage and dancing on their lawn, and the whole neighborhood came over and just started dancing. And this was like a couple of years ago, and I was like, wow, the power of music.
Yes. Yes. And it does carry you away. If you're having a horrible time, one of the things that we like to do on New Year's Eve is play some heavy metal. Just
Blow out the
crash
old year.
the cobwebs from the previous year, get those out of
And
your
that does
system,
get you
rock out,
pumped.
and it gets you pumped for the new
And
year.
people use it for working out, but like you were saying, also they can use it for meditation. And there are, and the sad songs are tricky because
That can down you out.
I'll tell you my favorite song of all time is Waiting in Vain by Bob Marley, because it doesn't matter your mood. If you're heartbroken or you're in love, it works either way. It doesn't, listening to it doesn't make you sadder.
No.
That's cool.
Do you have a favorite song?
Don't worry, be happy, man.
Is that your song? No, what's your favorite song all time, Dave?
Oh, yeah, there's so many.
I know, but just one.
If you are stranded on an island,
And you could only have one song to listen to, what would it be?
I don't know. It's a tough one. It really is. They would have to be
Supper's
one of
ready.
yeah. One of the. I wouldn't have to change that track so often. That's for sure. But yeah, it would probably be a 20 or 30-minute song by Genesis or Yes.
what about you?
Parisian Walkways, Gary Moore.
Oh no, it's a classic, isn't it?
I love it. It's such a beautiful song. It's a little too bluesy sometimes. If you're feeling nostalgic, it might be a bit much. But,
It's good that prog rock is still alive, though.
yeah, it is. It absolutely is. And I do love that the younger ones are getting interested into it. We took our grandson to his first concert, a Styx concert. And
Oh, it was not just that. It was
It was-
two other classic bands.
go for it.
Loverboy
hmm And he was
and REO Speedwagon.
And he was over the moon. He just thought that was wonderful. I saw him sitting there as the evening got, he was pretty young. And as the evening got later and later, he looked really tired, but he was still rocking. And he's told everybody since that he got to go to a concert.
And how old was he?
He was, what, 8?
Really?
When we took him,
Was he?
yeah,
I thought he
It's
was older
been a-
than that, maybe. But yeah, in that range.
9, maybe 9.
And he had heard the Mr. Roboto song by Styx, and then when they played that live, I think he was like, "Is this
Oh.
real?"
And the whole mountain, it was
There's
like on
people
a
actually
mountainside.
playing that,
Yeah,
Oh, and he
that's-
loved
yeah,
it.
it's you really don't until you see a band live, you don't
Oh.
understand
No,
how magical it is. You know?
no, he thought it was great. Guys, I can't
We
believe
could have-
45 minutes is gone.
Yeah, and this is a great subject, and there's a lot more to talk about. So maybe in the future, one will bring this back
And we didn't
around.
use any clips of any songs in here to get
Oh, I know.
To
hit
fatten
by,
out the time.
to get
Yeah.
hit with a strike or anything. So,
No,
but
that's
we
right.
can also make a playlist of favorite songs too. Maybe
Yeah.
and people could listen to those.
I think that would be a great idea. Count your blessings. After you leave us, take some time, just enjoy what's around you. Think of all the things that are wonderful in your life, because there are many, and it doesn't take too much to find them if
And
you
listen
really look.
and listen. Stop and listen to your favorite song.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
or listen to the birds. It's
Till
nice.
next time, folks.